All right. So thank you everybody this evening for joining us in virtually for what's going to be our first virtual artist talk in this setting with Pilsen Arts and Community House. So just really briefly for those of you that are not aware, we used to be Pilsen Outpost. We are now a nonprofit organization, Pilsen Arts and Community House. And I am co-founder along with Pablo Ramirez, who just joined in as well. They're all coming in now as we're getting started. So yeah, again, my name is Teresa Magaña, for those of you that don't know me, and it was just a really nice pleasure to work with Cynthia and Ricardo on this project. And I will talk a little bit more at the end, but I'll let you guys get started and take it away.
Great. Welcome everyone. It's so great to have you all here. And Ricardo and I are just going to go back and forth about this wonderful collaboration that we were invited to be a part of. Ricardo and I in 2013 were a part of a artist critique group at the Hyde Park Art Center called the Center Program. And alumni of the Center Program this year were invited to submit a collaborative proposal thinking about the pandemic and being separated from each other. And it was really kind of an interesting project. They were looking for two people to come together or artists to come together and create collaborative work in the words of Hyde Park Art Center that collided art forms. So one way or another, just bringing two kind of different art forms together. And Ricardo and I started talking about what we might do and if we wanted to do it. You want to add anything here?
No, yeah, I think, yeah, no, it was just like that. It was just being able to collaborate with this project and Cynthia reaching out. So, but no.
So our first proposal, we talk more about our individual work and then how our work came together. But if you can see from these two panels, our work is really different. The cutout forms, the banners that are in the background of these two panels is work that I've been doing, would work around the environment and climate change. And I'm going to keep passing it back to you. We'll play.
Yeah, no, and so my work is more figurative. I identify. I guess I call myself a printmaker. I do a lot of drawings and prints, mostly concentrating in relief printing. And so I'm always adding the figure of some sort. Playing around with Mexican iconography, icons and symbolism in my work. And so I also like playing. I love color, and I love adding color and collages to artworks, and that came from the Center Program. That type of conversation kind of had me thinking about adding color, and so I've been playing around with it since the Center Program back in 2013.
Yeah, that's great. And the Center Program, I say, is a gift that keeps on giving. Now, 7 years later, it's still influencing our art forms. I'm traditionally a painter and I've done mosaics. And being in the Center Program, I started to work with cut paper and cut Tyvek and installations. So we both had that experience of getting our art form expanded. And why don't you go on and show some of your work, Ricardo, and then we'll...
Yeah, so here, this is an old print. I can't remember the year, but it's Luchando contra la muerte. And I made this print originally in black and white. And again, like I was mentioning, not until 2013 and entering the Center Program where you were talking about your artwork and kind of push. We were a group of artists trying to just help and elevate and push ourselves. And the conversation came to me about color, adding color, and adding texture. And so this is a second edition of my print Luchando contra la muerte, which has silkscreen printed on it. So the color is silkscreen, and then the outline of the Luchadores mask is collaged paper. Let's see. Oh, am I?
Yeah, we lost the images.
Okay. I'm sorry. Uh-oh. I'm sorry. Could you guys still hear me? I don't know what's happened.
Yes, we can hear you. We can
All
hear
right.
you. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know. My computer might be a little outdated, but I apologize for that. So let's see. All right, let me try this again. All right. Let me try it. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Is this okay? I think it's coming up now.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know what happened, but hopefully it doesn't occur. But and this is a recent work that I just did last year, and actually my first solo show at the formerly known as Pilsen Outpost with Teresa and Pablo. They gave me the opportunity to show a couple of prints, and I decided to do new work. And I actually printed this with a great friend and collaborator, Carlos Barberena. He had his press at Pilsen Outpost at the time, and so I was kind of in need of a press, and so he helped me print these out in his studio Bandolero press. And so again, this is playing around with color, playing around with the imagery of and the symbols of good versus evil, luchador contra el Santísimo Muerte, right, or the devil. And so again, I like playing around with kind of like that storyline in that. So and then you can see the difference, and then Cynthia. Yeah.
Well, what was really great, in addition to Ricardo and I really liking each other, both of us have been directors of education in different, in my case in Marwin, in Ricardo in the National Museum of Mexican Art. Being educators, having a lot in common as artist educators, but also really liking each other's aesthetic, even though it was really different. Was really always a great place to start if you're going to collaborate. And so this is work I did a number of years ago that is part of the Poetic Dialogue exhibit, an exhibit that started with putting poets and visual artists together. And this was kind of creating the environment of the monarch butterfly, the symbiotic relationship between the monarch and the milkweed. And the poet that I was working with had been writing about the monarch, so it was a great collaboration. As a result of the Center project, I started working with cutting away and creating installations where light would shine through one object on another, which was really, really lovely. So I had this idea of the migration and ecosystems that we need to sustain, an idea that I've worked with a lot. You could go to the next slide, Ricardo. At Ragdale in 2017, I had this lovely studio, and I worked with creating an environment of the tall grass prairie, and created work that went all around the studio. The prairie you could see outside the window, and then bringing the prairie in. And the next one.
Okay. Okay.
Are you with us? Are you?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Well, I'll just keep talking.
Yeah.
So we had we looked at each other's work and we were thinking about what we could do together and how we could bring these two different aesthetics together. Although in printmaking, you also have to cut away to make a print. So some of that process, subtracting to make work, was part of both our work. And I don't know quite when it happened, but in conversation, we were talking about the luchadores, the fighters that that Ricardo was working with. Already he was working with metaphors, fighting against Satan, fighting against death. And we started to just think about all the brave souls that have been part of this pandemic, the essential workers, the people who've been on the front lines. And we were thinking about activists and medical workers and essential workers that we wanted to honor, and came up with this idea of fighters for justice, the Luchadores para Justicia. And I'm wondering
I think
how we could keep sharing. Teresa, should we try either your or my computer with the slideshow?
Yes, I have the first version that you gave me.
Okay.
So I can pull that up. Could be just
okay. Great. This always happens, but anyway, it was really fun and really also kind of a challenge to decide how to bring things together. But then Ricardo has this relationship with the Pilsen Arts and Community House, an incredible, lovely storefront gallery and community center on 18th Street, and asked Teresa and Pablo if they would be interested in having us present work. We didn't have it created yet. And when we went to the storefront and went inside and saw what was going on inside the community center and saw the storefront outside, it's when things came together. Yeah, that's a great slide here. So this is the storefront during the daytime. There's some wonderful wheat paste posters that Pablo had put together, and put together a great series of political posters, found posters, images, prints in the bottom of the storefront, and also on a wall right next door. And it gave us, I have a background as a public artist, and I love limits, and I love working in architecture and creating something for a particular space. So once we knew where it was that we were going to be putting our work, things really came together. We really started dreaming when we stood out in front of the gallery space, and brought together our different images for the front window. And we're thinking about teachers as being the most heroic people, of the most heroic people we know right now. So one of our luchadoras is an educator, la maestra, and then also thinking about those fighting for environmental justice, thinking about the work has been done to get the coal plant shut down in Pilsen and Little Village, and we created these two justice fighters for the front of the window. You could go to the next one. Oh, I jumped ahead. Do you want to add something here, Ricardo? Or you're on mute.
I think I should be a pro at this if I do this all day.
Maybe that's why.
I think my computer is just getting tired of all the meats that it's been having, so it's kicking me out. So sorry about that. But no, I just kind of wanted to mention in the previous slide, like Cynthia had said, the collage work that was posted there by Pablo and Carlos Barberena actually gave us that spirit to it helped us with the aesthetic part, right? Of like some of the things kind of flowing upward, right? And so I'm sorry I missed a couple of the back slides, but again, okay.
We can keep going. Let's keep going
Yeah,
forward.
perfect.
Yeah.
And so this was a new material that I was going to work with Tyvek, since I've always been working traditionally on paper. And so just like Cynthia had mentioned, it's very similar, well, cutting away the negative space is very similar to that in printmaking. But a new thing that I hadn't done in a long time was painted, because the scale of these, the scale was super big, and at first I was like, I can be super ambitious and do a big block, but then being in the situation that I'm in with my family growing and teaching remotely, I didn't have that much time. And so collaborating with Cynthia, and talking with her, she kind of gave me the idea, was like, why not, let's project it, why not paint it? And and so that's where these are the images that we're kind of seeing right now. So you can see the environmentalist, Luchadora, crushing that coal plant down, and with it's being painted with acrylic, and then the paper cutouts of the sparrows, the swallows.
And I don't know what you had said when we were standing in front of the window, but you had said something really magical, like flying away with the sparrows. And I don't know, you just said something really magical. And then that just gave us permission to sort of take this to another level. Another kind of running idea and metaphor in this is the idea of mutual aid. And I was reading about how lots of animals do this with each other, but the sparrows in particular, in migration and when their nests are threatened, come together as a group to support each other. And I was thinking about the golondrinas and using them as a symbol of what is happening all over the country, the way communities are coming together to support each other. So an underlying idea that is also part of the installation is the idea of mutual aid and mutual support in the natural world and in our communities. You could go to the next one, Teresa. So this is the image. This was at night, the night that we installed it. The gallery leaves the lights on at night, so it was just really, really magical once we put the work up. We were just really thrilled at the whole effect. Thank you. We brought together, and the cutaways allow you to look inside. We wanted to have something that faced the street, but also that you could look through the windows and be invited into this amazing art space and community center that is the Pilsen Arts and Community House. I had a good time working with the cutouts. We did so much, we couldn't be together. We would pass things. I'd drive to Ricardo's and hand him Tyvek, and he would paint on it, and then he'd drive to me, and then I would cut. We couldn't work in the same space because of the pandemic, but we had a really good time sort of playing off of each other. And enjoyed working with the cutouts and in behind the wonderful educadora dancing on the pencil, like holding it down, creating a whole alphabet of images and symbols. And it just once we kind of hit on the idea that we wanted to work with, it really was like a dance back and forth, which was great.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like Cynthia had mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, we're kind of like, we kind of like limitations, and we were setting up our standing meetings always on Fridays, and kind of just, even if it was like a 15 or 30-minute check-in. And so and that back and forth idea and those conversations led to, I think, to a wonderful work and a wonderful collaboration between us that we did. And so, and I really like how, like, you can see if you were walking by, the shadows sometimes were being cast onto the floor of the space, or sometimes onto the wall. And so that was kind of I've never interacted and participated and done an artwork like that until Cynthia was kind of mentioning how her work was doing that. And so it was really nice to see this work do that as well. Let's see. And then we were also offered the space and the back wall of Pilsen Artists Community House, Pilsen Arts and Community House. And it's kind of like the community section because they have two galleries in the space. They have the front gallery, which is kind of promoting the artists and showcasing the artwork that they had curated months in advance or years in advance. And then the backspace was kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Teresa, and the backspace is kind of for a community activation and community space almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've nicknamed it the Annex Gallery Wall.
The Annex Gallery Wall. And so we were given a wall there. And so I had created, through our conversations with Cynthia, I had created already some other luchadores who we were thinking who can be luchadores during this time. And so I just created some of the sketches. And again, I immediately think to print when I think sketches, but just because of time, I decided to continue with this, the motion of painting onto Tyvek, and also adding the sparrows and cutting out and adding them into the background. And so I can't remember the dimensions, but it's 30 by 40. They're 30 by 40 inch paintings painted on with acrylic onto Tyvek. And then the sparrows were cut out by hand. And so you have the grocery boy luchador, right? Since they're essential. And then we have the nurse luchadora, and then also the essential workers, the farm workers who are actually very essential and very key during this pandemic. And maybe a lot of people are not seeing that or don't get to see that as often. So I kind of want to bring them to the forefront and showing them as luchadores. And so that's the far image, and he's carrying a whole basket of vegetables and fruits.
When Ricardo created these 3 additional ones, I was so charmed by them. There's just, I don't know, there's so much heart and love and appreciation in these figures. Just and it's really exciting because it's so much a part of your work, Ricardo, and also, I don't know, the development of a new body of work. And I just, was really, really in love with these.
Yeah.
And Teresa, so you then took it and did a great community project.
Yeah, and then Teresa had asked us if we were going to do a community activation, and I'm constantly thinking about how to engage with community and the different ways to do that through my interactions with the print collective Instituto Gráfico de Chicago. We this idea came about where I finally did something with print, right? I did carve a block for this project, and it was part of the community project. And so I kind of just did this header and footer with the name of our project, Luchadores por Justicia, and then on the bottom banner it says "Make Together." And again, it's kind of with the idea of the sparrows being there. And so I left the block there for participants to ink it up and print it by hand, and to either to just be free and to write a poem, write a letter, draw your own luchador. And so kind of engaging the community to participate within this project of how we can all come together and how we can help. And so these are photos taken by Teresa during the activations, and these activations were only held on Sundays between 1 to 4. And so the first photo, if you can't see, it's kind of light, but it says, "Don't give up and always have faith." And so these are very powerful statements, especially during this time. And so there's a couple of people interacting with the art activation, and another drawing of a luchadora who I can hopefully reach out to and try to see if we can collaborate. But the drawing is by Diana Solis, a great friend and hopefully future collaborator for something like this. I don't know, did you want to mention anything else, Teresa, within the community activation part?
Yeah, it was definitely great to have that component, because definitely the window installation caught a lot of people's attention. So it definitely brought them through the door. And, that's not their first, it brought them in the door, but then leading them through the gallery into the back area, and then seeing the additional banners, and then this activity, it tied it all together for them as an experience. And that gave us here in the space an opportunity to engage with those people and talk to them about what the installation was, and then also, to talk about what we do here. So it was just like a overall overwhelming type of collaboration in a good way, because it just touched so many different components and aspects of us doing all what we do. So yeah, this was a great little activity. I had all ages, from little kids to grown-ups. And when I tell them, it's for all ages, and they're like, just to see them kind of like let go for a couple of minutes was really nice. And they didn't really see me peeking around taking pictures until after. And I was like, don't worry, I just got your hands. I didn't really get your face, and we're all covered up anyway. So, but they really enjoyed it. And so that was a nice component for us to be able to really talk about it, because like you said, it's, having the installation was one thing, but then being here to engage with them, like that helped us, to be able to do that for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, and I was just gonna say, and it's kind of like, and that's why I don't know, I like collaborating with you guys. It's because it's kind of part of your mission within your space, right? The activation within community, and so I think it was just everything just fell into place right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Teresa, could you go back to the installation? One more. The one on the window. Yeah. When you told me that people would like come and kind of peek in, and then they want to take pictures in front, nothing makes a public artist happier than to have people wanting to have their artwork as a backdrop for a photograph. So, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing with that too is it was usually kind of around the after school hours. So we're right by the 18th Street train stop and the Ashland and 18th bus stop. So there's a lot of working class people walking to and from work, or, bringing their kids. We have like 2 neighboring schools. So it was really awesome, because I'd see, a mother and child walking by, and then they'd like stop, take a double take, and be like, what is this? Like they hadn't noticed us. And then I could see them like posing for their photos, and the kids, it was actually more the parents. They're like, stand here. And I could hear them through the window. Párate allí, te voy a tomar una foto. So that was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that story. And while we're still on this slide, I just want to do a shout out and thank you to Hyde Park Art Center. We have just 2 or 3 more slides left, but at this moment in this image, to Lycan, to Mike Norris, and everyone in Hyde Park Art Center who had this idea just to invite people to make together. That was their concept. And it was it just kept building. Because first Ricardo and I made together, and then Teresa and Pablo joined in, and then community members. It was just from a really lovely invitation to connect at this time of isolation. It just kept building. So it was awesome.
And then just real quick to touch on those 3 banners that were in the back annex gallery wall. Congratulations to Cynthia and Ricardo, because all 3 pieces sold to actually an educator. So that was really beautiful, because he came in, he enjoyed 2 of the banners, came to pick them up, and he's like, I need to have all 3. So that was really great. And nice to know it was like, another educator. So
great.
Definitely. Yeah. And so,
oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Cynthia.
I was just going to say we just had 2 slides left, but jump in more.
All right. Yeah, no. And so I kind of wanted to share, this was just recent, just from, I'm part, if I didn't mention it, I'm part of a collective a print collective called the Instituto Gráfico de Chicago. We go by IGC, and we traditionally, we host a free community printmaking event at the National Museum of Mexican Art during the month of November. And we gather a lot of like-minded people within the realm of printmaking and community, and showing, demonstrating how print can be made, how it can be used as a form of communication, a democratic way of art. And this year's edition was virtually, and the collective itself did an internal print portfolio exchange, meaning that all the participants within the collective contributed a print to create a portfolio for this year. And so this was my contribution for the print portfolio, and obviously it stems from the the artwork that I was doing with Cynthia. And so again, wanting to do a print, and so I kind of just made this the essential farm worker. And again, it's not screen printed, it's watercolor, and it's hand printed. But I guess it's just I just wanted to show this print to show and to demonstrate how this collaboration, even though we shown our artwork, it's this project, this idea is still moving forward and moving on. I know as long as it's moving on is for me. So to kind of just wanted to show that.
That's great. Thank you.
Just to jump in there, Ricardo, talking about that part of that component of moving on. There's a couple questions in the chat before you get to the final slides.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's really quick. Someone asked about how long it will be here and then where. So, we did recently de-install, so it's not up anymore. We had it for about 6 or 7 weeks. But do you guys have plans to show it anywhere else, or is it your own private collection now? Or
well, it really was created for public space, so I think we'd be interested in maybe showing it and growing it. But at the moment, it's in storage. It could come out. Could come back out.
Maestro William Estrada asked, how do you see the collaboration influencing future projects?
Yeah.
Well, I can see, with your work, Ricardo, and what you're working on now, where you're taking these ideas. And I know that it is going to have resonance and with me and my work. I'm not sure yet where it's going to find a home in terms of what images I'll make, but during this pandemic, the only work I've made is public work. I haven't really had the desire to make work in my studio for myself. But the work that I've wanted to make is work that can be shared. So I think for me, I could see this project growing and expanding. There's so many more essential workers to honor. And just thinking of all the abandoned storefronts and windows, and how can we create installations and ways to kind of honor this moment and speak to this moment in public spaces. So I could see doing more of these kinds of installations.
Yeah, and other conversations that I've had with Cynthia, is kind of like creating these images, and kind of even collaborating with artists like Pablo Ramirez, and kind of like collaging a wall like in the public sphere with Tyvek or through newsprint. So I don't know, I definitely see this this evolving or continuing in some way or another. It might not be the project itself, the theme within the project, but the collaboration amongst the people that have been involved in the project within the artist and the space itself.
Mm-hmm.
And Teresa and Pablo, I certainly hope we can collaborate more too. I just love what your gallery and education space is all about. So it's just a taste of one thing too is that when people say yes, when you propose an idea and they say yes, it's so great. I'm not even sure if you knew what you were saying yes to, but I was so happy that you did. And Ricardo's a full-time CPS art teacher, and he has 8-month-old twins. So what craziness in your mind that you said yes to this? I have no idea, but I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm blessed. I have a great partner and wife, Marcela, and so she was. Talking to her, I was like, I think I can do this, or maybe not. And she's like, just go for it. It's okay. We'll see how we'll work it out. And like I said, I'm blessed, and I did a lot of my work during the nighttime, which I'm not used to. I'm more of an early morning person, but now being the father of 8-month-old twins, I'm just whenever I can sleep type of guy now. And so, but it was great. It's always great to say yes to people that you admire and been wanting to work with. And I didn't want to let that opportunity pass, because then I was like, well, I'm never going to be asked again, so I'm going to do it and I'll figure it out. And that's how it went down. And so
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
You definitely would be asked again. And I don't know what you were thinking, but I was so happy.
Well, it's kind of a good and bad habit that Pablo and I have. We hear great ideas and we're like, yes, let's do it. And then later we're like, what did we get into? But let's do it. So very much to what you're saying, Ricardo.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. So we just we wanted to give you a little time, Teresa, to talk about something happening with gallery space. You can find us on Instagram, and then go ahead. Let's go to the last. Oh, do I not? Yeah, great.
So thank you to everybody that joined us this evening. Ricardo and Cynthia, again, it's such a pleasure to work with you guys. So I am looking forward to our next future projects. But yeah, the last slide here is about our fundraiser. As I mentioned in the beginning, we're now a nonprofit organization. Had things been kind of a little bit more normal, we would have had a more formal winter gala is what we had envisioned for our first inaugural fundraiser. Get really creative. So this is actually one of our older brainstorms that we had where we would partner up with a local cafe and have blank cups painted by artists. And it was going to be an exhibition at some point, but we merged this into, let's make this a fundraising event. So we've actually partnered up with Cafe Jumping Bean, who many of you know has been here in the neighborhood for over 20 years. 1994, I think, was one of their recent posts. That's a long time. And they're just a very significant cafe for us here in Pilsen because a lot of creatives have gathered there, a lot of meetings, a lot of organizing. It just kind of embodies, what Pilsen, that a bit of heart, that we experience here. And then obviously because of the things that we do in our space, we wanted to make sure our collaborations, we kind of strengthen each other. So we have about 100 artists that painted, and I'm going to pull one here, a blank coffee cup. And we are putting these up on an online auction. It's an online platform, and the link is in our website. It's also on our Instagram. and it's called Stay Woke. We worked with an artist, Laura Gomez, who let us use her design for what will now be our kind of branding image every year. So this is the first time that we're doing this, and the cups will start at anywhere from $20 to $25 for starting bids. Amazing lineup from young artists to established, well-known artists. So we're really looking forward to it because this is going to be one of our bigger events in the year to help us raise funds, to help us keep going and keep the space running and available for everyone. So yeah, please look for us on Instagram and on our website. Pilsen Arts Community House is the Instagram, and Pilsen Arts Community House is the website.
When we were de-installing on Sunday, we got to see 50 of the 100 cups out like on the table, and I wanted everyone. They're just so great. You've documented every piece, so you can see that on the website. But they're just wonderful. And some of the money, it's kind of reciprocal relationship with the Jumping Bean, right? You're gonna send people there to get coffee, and they're gonna make a donation.
Right, exactly. So the weekend of the 11th is when the online auction opened. And that weekend, the Jumping Bean has committed to donate a percentage of their sales from that weekend to the organization. So that's really great. We're driving traffic to them, which, like you said, Cynthia, drives traffic to us and helping us. So it's all mutual support.
Yeah, like the golondrinas, right?
Yes, I know.
So I think that's it, unless there's any more questions or anyone else has a last word. But it's been my pleasure to work on this project and also to just see friends and colleagues from Mexico, Chicago, California, Minneapolis, just all over. It's really lovely to connect.
Yes, likewise, and it's great to have everybody. And thank you so much again for being a great collaborator, Cynthia, and Teresa and Pablo as well. And yeah, so I truly appreciate this this space to be able to share this project with everybody. And thank you to everybody for coming out and seeing the presentation.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Everybody have a great night.
Stay safe. Well.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Trying to stay on a minute.
How do we get off of this? Huh?
I just stayed on.